Hello everyone, this is the second part in the Entrepreneurial Software Engineering course. Last time we talked about modeling objects in around you or objects that you want to solve a problem with. We talked about, if you're in a room and you want to model the tables in that room to have the computer help you organize these tables or tell you how many tables your room could handle. We worked with that with a previous example using Visual Studio and C Sharp. It's very important for you to understand that, and we're going to talk exclusively about this in the next class. We're going to talk about how to find your innovative idea and where do innovative ideas come from. But for now, we are going to work with our models. Now that we extract our models, how can we make our models do things? How can we make our models do things? For instance, like let's say you want to find out how many, like you want to model a coffee machine, for instance, right? And you want to create an order and then set that on the coffee machine and let the coffee machine make the coffee for you. So how does that work? So there are two things here in play. Like there's the order model, like you want chai tea or you want coffee or you want milk, whatever you want, and then you want the coffee machine to make that for you, right? So let's go back to the code here and let's work with the example that we worked with in the past. Let's throw all of that away from the last time and let's start over. Just like we said, when you are thinking about a coffee machine, you're thinking about something that takes in an order. So let's start with the order part, right? Let's go in here. Let me delete these old models and let's extract new models. Let's say order. And what's that order look like? The order model is something that looks like, let's say your order has a string type. So what do you want? Do you want chai? Do you want coffee? You also want size, right? I want the size. Do you want small size, large size, medium size of the drink that you're ordering? I think that's pretty much it for an order. So you're when you're going to the Starbucks or you're trying to make yourself coffee, you have to visualize and imagine the model that you're working with. So your order itself is a model. It doesn't have to be a physical aspect like a table or a tea or a phone or a cup. It can be anything else. It can be something like an order, like an idea, like a concept, something that you want to use in your day-to-day life, right? All right, so you have order, but we also want to build something like the coffee machine. So let's go ahead and build another model. And then let's call our model the coffee machine. Right? And we talked in the past about, how our models have properties, right? They have attributes that describes these models. So this guy has a type and has a size. But we didn't talk about how our models can do things. They can do things, right? So for instance, coffee machine, we're going to go here and say, we're going to build a function, like an action, something the coffee machine does, right? So we're going to go in here and say, here is a void. That means that this function doesn't do much. And then, like, doesn't return much. And then we're going to call our function make order, right? So the coffee machine is going to take your order and it's going to make it for you, right? So that means that we need to give that coffee machine our order as something that we call an input parameter, right? So the order that we created in here, we go back and we pass it to the coffee machine as a method, right? As an input parameter in that method. So you say make order, right? So let's go back to our order here and set something in it. Let's say status, right? So let's say string, what's the status of my order? Did I order? Did I already order that? Did I already make it? I don't know where the order is, right? And then in this make order, what the coffee machine is going to do is going to set the status of that order to ready. Your order is ready. So think about that from a visualization standpoint. You know, you're going to a Starbucks or any coffee shop and you're making an order, and they take that order and they make it for you, right? So there's an action involved, right? There's an action involved in what you're doing, which means that in our program, if I make an order, let's create an order. Let's call it my order. You could call it whatever you want. And here we are creating a new instance of that order. And then I'm going to put some attributes on my order. So my order is, I want the size to be large size. And my order is, a type is chai latte. That's the order. And then my order is of status not ready. So my order is not ready yet. I'm still want to order it. But at this stage, you know your order, but you haven't done anything with it yet, right? You still need to take that order and put it, program it or ask the barista at the coffee shop to do it for you, right? So let's create a coffee machine. So this coffee machine is the machine that does the coffee. And we said the coffee machine has an action. So this is how we're linking two different aspects together, right? So you have two different models. So we can go and say this coffee machine, make order. I need to make my order, my function public so I can see it. This is something that we call accessor of the method. And then I can go back here and say make order. And then I'm passing my order to this coffee machine. So I created an order in here. I know what I want. I want a chai latte of size large, and it's not ready yet because I'm still didn't order it. And then I'm gonna pass that order to the coffee machine, right? If I go out here and try to print console write line and then say my order dot status, what's the status of my order, right? Let's see how that works. So if I run my application, let's run my application here real quick. Here's my application. So what's happening? Now it's printing out ready, meaning since the order went inside the coffee machine, now the order is ready, right? See how you visualize that? You have to understand that everything in this world either is something or does something, right? It's either it's doing something and it is something, it can be used for something to be done to it, or it's doing something, can do something, or it is something. What are the example? Look at us as human beings, for instance, right? We are humans, right? We can be tall, short, old, young. These are things that we are, right? Not things that we do, right? But there are things that we do. We eat, we walk, we sleep, we run, we talk, we do all these things. So there are actions and there are attributes, things that we are and things that we do. And if you can visualize that, you will be able to solve any problem out there just by being able to visualize what the problem is. For instance, our cell phones make calls, so that's an action. But my cell phone here is, the color of my cell phone is black, so that's something that it is the phone, right? If I want my phone to make a call, that means I need to give my phone a number, right? Let's practice that again. So that means in a situation like this, let's take all that away. Let's try that again, right? Let's create a class. I'm going to create it in here just to be quick. Let's create a class here and let's call it phone, right? And this phone make call. And in order for it to make a call, it needs a phone number, right? And let's have that let's have that function make a call. Let's have it return a value string like a text, right? So that means when I'm doing that, I could go back and return and say that when I'm making a call, that means calling, and then you can pass in the phone number that you passed into that function. So that means if I go in here, I can go and say, okay, I'm gonna create a new instance of a phone. So I'm gonna go buy a new phone, and then my phone, I'm gonna have it make a call. And let's give that phone function any number we want, like this. Make a call, right? And out here, I'm gonna print out the status of the call, right? Because I said return value. So whatever this function is gonna return is gonna go back here, right? And let's go ahead and console again. Let's print out the status. So if I run my application, what happens is that I have a phone, I put a number in my phone, and then it's telling me that it's making a call to that particular number that I called. Does that make sense? Like you are visualizing something, anything around you, and then modeling it in the computer, and then programming in the behavior of that thing. So you see how powerful that is. Like in the last session, we talked about, how we can use the attributes alone to determine whether some tables can be in a room or not. But now we can take that up to the next level and say, no, even beyond that, we can even do even more interesting things like, see, this is the status here, calling the phone number that I passed in, right? So imagine like you're not just describing the attributes of an object, you are also adding on top of that the actions that this object can do. For instance, if you're developing a video game, right? Let's say a video game for a basketball game. You're developing a basketball game. You're gonna have to model the players. So every player in the game, you're gonna have to model that player. You're gonna have to think about what every player can do, right? So some players, they can run, they can do a slam dunk, they can score, they can get angry, they can, ask for a timeout, they can do anything. So you can add all these functions to your player model. And imagine when you create like 12 instances of basketball players, now you have both teams and you can determine which team this player is on. This is how you start building your model, and you start creating things in your computer, and you start building things that resemble reality. And then once you resemble reality, now you get to actually go forward and backward in time, like imitate certain situations. Like what if this player went this direction, what's going to happen? So you let the computer, you use the power of the computer to calculate all the moves of these players in a basketball court, and so on and so forth. So that's pretty much it. Play around with and try to experiment with, look at something around you that you care about and try to model that, extract a model and then extract the actions of that model, and then find something else that interact with it and try to do that, right? Try to simulate a chat room where people are talking to each other. What do you need to model that, right? Try to simulate a football game or a tennis match. Whatever you care about, right? Do not program something that is hypothetical that you don't care about, because if you are trying to solve a problem that is not personally something that you're trying to make simple for yourself, you might not go too far with it, right? Most of the biggest applications, the best applications that were built out there were built by people that were building the application, first of all, for themselves to solve a specific problem they were wondering about, right? Think about these search engine like Google or Facebook or Microsoft Windows and all these. It was people that were trying to build something that solves a problem they personally saw that it's annoying to them and they want to solve it. So they use the power of computing to make this happen. You should play around with that, play classes, run classes, create classes, create actions out of these classes. See how you can resemble things in reality and see how far that can take you. You can build as many functions as you can. You can build, as many attributes as you can. See what happens. See what the power of computing could do for you. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to drop a comment in the comment section. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next class. Thank you for watching.